I did a video of the Phil Jones Big Head the other day, and as the Big Head, the bass buddy is a headphone amp. But in addition to being only a headphone amp, this one has a 10-watt power amp built in. So you can use this one in a rehearsal room, you can use it for an unplugged situation, you can use it for teaching. In all these situations, the bass buddy might come in handy. I said it before, Phil Jones is a guy who builds bass gear that is very looked after because of its clarity. So it's the philosophy behind it obviously is just to amplify the signal that goes into the amplifier and not to add like a special sound feature or something like you know it from Ampeg SVTs, like Mesa Boogie amps. All these kind of amps add a flavor to the sound, right? And Phil Jones just wants to make your bass, your sound as a musician, louder. So clarity, being clean is a very, very big goal for Phil Jones in building his bass gear. Same thing for the bass buddy, of course. Compared to the Big Head, this one, as you can see, is bigger, and this one has a lot more elements on the front panel and also on the back panel. And I'll go through all of them right now. So first thing you see here is the active-passive switch for, of course, active or passive basses. You see the input right here and you see the volume right here. Then we have a 5-band graphic EQ, and that's plus minus 18 dB at 50 hertz, 130 hertz, I'm sorry, at 50, at 160, at 630, at 2.5K and at 12K. Then we have a compressor limiter, talk about that later. We have headphones out, and of course we have a power switch right here, right here. On the back plate you see the socket for the power supply right here. Very interesting thing comes next. If you unscrew this little plate here, you can put in two 9-volt batteries and let the bass buddy run on battery. We have a stereo in for MP3 player, for drum machine, for additional instrument. We have a line out for the preamp if you want to use it as a preamp. We have speaker out. This goes down to 4 ohms. So you can use speaker cabinets 8 ohms or 4 ohms. And we have a DI out. Here's some very interesting things about the bass buddy. First, the DI. The DI is not switchable pre or post as we are used to it from most DIs, right? It also has no ground lift. It's set, it comes standard, being set behind the EQ and behind the compressor. The volume control does not affect the DI level. Stereo in can be controlled in volume right here, so the overall volume in the front does not affect this volume here. If you use batteries, you don't have the option to use the power amp. The power amp is switched off when the bass buddy runs on batteries. I think that's a bummer because I thought of this little guy here as being perfect for, like, say you want to go busking or something, or you want to play with your buddies at the beach or at the campfire, whatever. But only the headphone section is running on batteries. That makes sense, of course, because in the manual you can read that with 2 9-volt batteries, the bass buddy runs for 3 hours. That's not very long. And if you use the power amp, 10-watt power amp section on top of that, you can imagine that 2 9-volt batteries won't do their job very long. So that might be about a few minutes or maybe 15 minutes or something. So it's only running on headphone while being on battery mode. Some other interesting things I found in the manual. You see the input plug here. The manual says, do not use cables from the Monster brand. You might or might not know Monster cables. They have been kind of like the first high-class audio cables on the market for instruments. Separate cables for bass, for studio, for guitar players, all that kind of stuff Monster does. And in the manual, again, they say do not use the cables from the Monster brand because they do not accurately fit into the socket here. The plugs from the Monster cables are maybe a little too thick or too thin, or I don't know. They even say that if you use a Monster cable, they are denying the warranty for the bass body. If there's any damage to the bass body by using a Monster cable, it is not under warranty. So that's an interesting thing. I haven't seen that before. I have never read anything like that before. That's interesting because I thought the diameter of the plugs is like standardized to a 1/4 inch or 6.3 millimeters. Of course, there are tolerances in production, plus or minus a tiny bit. But obviously, Monster has their own tolerances, or Phil Jones has their own tolerances. I don't know. To be honest, it leaves kind of like a strange taste to read this in a manual of a brand to not use another brand's gear. I don't know. One other thing is the compressor right here. We have a control and we have a switch. In the manual, actually, they mix up the terms compressor, compression, with limiter, limiting, quite a lot. And I'm not sure what that is about, because limiting and compressing are two different things. Of course, you find them in one little device a lot. You might use the DBX compressors, they're also limiters. And a lot of other devices do both jobs, but there's a difference. A compressor evens out your dynamics a little or a little more, depends on your settings. And a limiter just keeps harm of your loudspeakers by not allowing to overcome a certain volume of your signal. This is used, for example, maybe for bass signals, but in the studio for masters. So for a master signal of your recordings, they are limited to not cause any damage to the loudspeakers. So I'm not sure what that is about. The housing of the bass body is made from an aluminum front, you can see here, and a steel chassis right here. I'd say it's a 1 millimeter, 1.5 millimeter steel right here, where all the things on the back panel are mounted into. The bass body comes with a bag full of cables and all different stuff. So there's a power supply, there's two 9-volt batteries, there's adapter cables, all different kinds of stuff right in here. So you can really go plug the thing in and use it as you wish to. So the thing is built very, very solid. It's a great piece of gear from what I can tell building wise. Next thing, we're gonna see what it's capable of sound wise, right? So, bass players, this is the Phil Jones Bass Buddy. And I hope you have got an idea of what it's capable sound-wise. I hope I gave you an idea what it's built like and what the options are on this device. And maybe you're into getting one, so please find the affiliate link to Thomann below this video. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. See you next time, bye.